recounts. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are things over there in Paris this evening?
Fantastic. Not because
Good.
it's Paris, not because it's evening, but
It's because it's Julien.
Not quite either. That would be the other way around usually. But it's because I have a good story to tell, and it doesn't happen every day, right?
No, that happens rare. I'd say, 20% of our stories are good stories?
Yeah, probably less than that, but I love how optimistic you can get. So, since it's good, let me get started right away. It could actually be a Hollywood movie because it starts with bad start and it gets better and better.
Boy Meets Girl.
Probably a low budget Hollywood movie though. But I've told you a bunch of stories around my roof, right? Because I've had so many problems with my roof that I had to talk about it quite a few times. Now, one of the things that happened is at some point, because the guys who were working on my roof, they actually destroyed a lot of that. If you don't know the story, refer to, I have no idea what episode that was, but go back and check it.
The roof episode.
Yeah, the roof episode. So they broke a lot of stuff, and at some point we kind of lost faith in their ability to fix it. So what we've done was, and I say we because it's obviously my wife and myself, we've decided to work with a third-party agency that could help us look at the current status of the roof and the ceiling to figure out whether what they were telling us was true, whether they could find the original source of the leak, make sure that was the right place, and make sure nothing else was damaged that we were not aware of, but we could fix everything.
Yeah, speaking of damage, that's a very damaged relationship when you feel you need to take a step like that.
Exactly. And in the end, if you haven't watched the roof episode, that actually ended pretty well, or not too bad at least. But that was, we get to that point. So what I did was use a website you may have heard of. It's called Google. And then you type your keywords on it. And I was searching for, I really didn't know whether the kind of companies I was looking for actually existed, but I was looking for someone who could, give me a third party kind of objective opinion on what was happening and hopefully some actual data, maybe someone who could come with some, those funny cameras you see from the SWAT Hollywood movies where, that must exist. There must be something around it and maybe something to check the humidity level. I just wanted to feel like my house was actually safe. I happened to find a company doing something similar. Their website was pretty good. I contacted them and I contacted them through the form. I filled the form, which was pretty simple and straightforward. And what I loved about it is they even asked whether I wanted to be contacted by phone, by email, or by WhatsApp. And that was like the first time.
Your day right there.
Exactly, because that was the very first time I had anyone asking me whether I wanted to be recontacted by WhatsApp. I thought, wow, that's really cool. So I sent them a message. That was a little bit tricky by WhatsApp because I was supposed to send the first message. I would just respond to it for some technical reason. But I followed the process. It literally took 35 seconds, plus another 20 seconds to send the first WhatsApp message saying, hey, I'm Julien. I sent you a request, so let me know when you're ready. 25-30 minutes later at most, I was expecting 48 hours to a week. 25-30 minutes later, they were responding on WhatsApp. And this is where the experience got even better. The lady told me, okay, so this is the quotation, this is how much it's going to cost you, and this is what you're going to get. So I looked at it, and then I rephrased, and I said, look, you're telling me I'm going to get that, which is basically you're going to help me find out where the leak is. My problem is I pretty much know where the leak is because we can see it. They removed the entire ceiling, so you were just under the roof, so you could see it. What I want to know is if there is any other damage that's hidden that I would not see. And that's where I want you to come in and help me figure that out. And she was incredibly honest throughout the entire conversation, telling me, you know what? We can't provide exactly what you're asking for. And I'm afraid you're just going to be disappointed because we're going to give you lots of information and lots of proofs and pictures and stuff. But you're going to pay a few $100, and I'm afraid you're not going to have the answer you truly want after you explain in details what you want. So here's my suggestion to you. Don't work with us. try to find if someone else could provide this kind of specific service, because I just don't want to sell it to you and you being disappointed with it. And I was like, wow, why so often people actually convince me to buy stuff I don't need versus telling me that's actually not really what I need.
If you ever need anything along those lines again, that's the first person you're going to call.
And that's the thing, because a week after, probably a couple of weeks after, it's probably 2 or 3 weeks after actually, my neighbors start having his roof leaking, and he asked, well, who are the guys who fixed your roof? Can you refer them to me? And I was so excited to tell him, look, before you get anyone to fix your roof, do you even know where the leak is coming from? Because I do have the perfect company for that, and they are incredibly honest and faithful, and this is their number. Call them up. 2 days later, they were in his house. They fixed the problem. They found the leak. And I was so happy to be able to refer them because they had been honest with me in the first place. And that, let's face it, does not happen that often. It kind of takes courage at some point to tell no to a customer when you know it's not going to be the right fit, or even to refer your competitors, which was not the case at that point. But I just love that experience because we didn't do business together, but I just found that was exactly how any company should behave. And plus, the little twist around responding on WhatsApp, it just made my day because very few companies do that in France today. So that's my story. It's my gift to you today.
That is a gift. That's a dream story. I can't top ahead say I had a similar, but the fact that you were able to refer someone almost immediately, that had to just feel so good to be able to do that.
This part felt very good, and then it got me and my neighbor to start wondering who on earth built all the roofs in that street, because there is something seriously wrong. But beside this, yes, it felt very good. It felt, because to be honest, if I had waited for a year, I'm not sure I would have remembered that company, and I would have been able to think, to connect the dots and think, hey, that's
really nice. There was a woman I talked to. Just call companies till you find them.
Not call. Send them a WhatsApp is what I said.
Yes. Sorry. I forget with whom I speak. It's such. If companies are listening, if they could take that lesson, that don't force your square peg into a customer's round hole. Do what's needed. I know I've had similar experiences with car repair, where something's made a scary noise, and they could have easily said, oh, we're going to replace these 8 things, and instead they were like, oh yeah, I just tweaked it and it worked. I went to that guy for years after that. And it's even braver in this case because car repair, I'm going to have another need to bring my car to you pretty soon. But in this, I'm sure their repeat business level is pretty darn low, not because people don't love them, but just because how often do you need, hopefully you don't need roof leak reviews very often. I think
it's not even just about customer referral, because she could not have expected me to refer their business right away a few days or a few weeks later. That's just lucky coincidence. But what she actually avoided was an angry customer asking for a refund because I didn't get what I actually needed, probably leaving nasty reviews online. And if you know anything about me, you know that I can go...
There was a recent episode where that was well documented.
So, and I mean, you don't want a detractor. You just don't want that, because the little money you're going to make, because we're not talking about a few €1,000, right? It's a few $100, which is a lot of money anyway. But if you're going to have to respond to nasty emails and try to justify yourself and eventually go in court, because that's not my thing, but I'm sure some customers would go to court because they didn't get what they need. Is it even worth it? So at the end of the day, well, they get a nice referral, which is really the icing on the cake for them. But even beside that, they actually avoided getting money from someone who would just get angry and probably give them bad publicity. And just that is probably worth the price of thinking every time you talk to a prospect, are we the best possible fit? And if we're not, let's build a stronger relationship over not doing business.
Yeah, and I just think that's so rare. And that's the part. I guess. Okay, so I'll put a sad ending on a happy story. The fact that this is a happy story and not just the normal way business works is kind of a sad statement about the way things happen. But I get it. It's human nature. It's very tempting to do that sort of thing.
I guess it is. We all have a quota to hit by the end of the month or the quarter, so that's probably where that's all coming from. Well, it's not like I was feeling bad in the first place, but I feel so much better that I could share this kind of good story. So thanks for listening in, Max, and hopefully anyone else listening to that story.
Yeah, well, thank you, and it was educational. I think it was a good something to bring up.
Perfect. Then I will talk to you next week. Bye, Max.
That's great. Thanks, Julien.